This is Peter J. Pollack, MD, with another Medical Practice Trends podcast, and our guest today is Pat Williams, who's Vice President of Business Development for Entrada. Welcome, Pat.
Good morning.
So can you first explain to us a little bit about what Entrada is all about and how they help physicians?
Sure, absolutely. Entrada provides a solution that we refer to as an expressway to meaningful use. And really what Entrada does is helps to facilitate the rapid physician adoption of an EHR system without expensive declines in productivity, which are a real concern, as you know, in today's current environment.
And so do you work with particular software vendors or pretty much whichever the practice happens to be working with?
That's right. Our approach is an agnostic one, if you will, in terms of our ability to easily interface with any practice management or document management system that's currently in place and any EHR system that's currently being evaluated for implementation down the road.
Okay, great. So our topic today actually is on EHR adoption without productivity loss. So can you tell us a little bit about how that can be accomplished? Because that is certainly a big area of concern for practices who are considering adopting EHR.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. When you think about the typical workflow of most physicians, it's really unrealistic to expect in today's environment, given the challenges that physicians face. First and foremost, we've got an aging population with a higher demand for healthcare services. There are up to 30 million newly insured individuals coming into the healthcare system today. The number of new physicians is expected to stay relatively flat over the next 20 years. And then on top of all that, we've got the high-tech program, which is incentivizing physicians to adopt EHRs, but in a pretty complex environment, which is fraught with challenges and inefficiencies. Not that EHRs don't provide any value. They certainly do. But our approach, and I think the approach of many, is that there are other efficient ways to capture information and get data into those systems. From our approach, we think it's unrealistic to expect high EHR adoption if it requires changing physician current behavior and requiring exclusive data entry into form fields, checkboxes, drop-down menus, what have you. However, capturing structured data is critical to deriving the benefits of those systems. So any new processes that can leverage emerging technologies without disrupting the physician's natural workflow really are essential for protecting productivity while achieving meaningful use. So the way that Entrada goes about addressing those challenges is by providing a speech-driven approach by which we allow physicians to continue their familiar practice of dictating relevant portions of the encounter while ensuring that they still meet the criteria for meaningful use. We combine state-of-the-art digital dictation with voice processing and editing services and produce structured data that can automatically be returned into the physician's existing or soon-to-be-purchased EHR system. It's really a very natural workflow that physicians are used to, and the ease and the efficiency of the Entrada solution has proven to accelerate the adoption of EHRs while ensuring that all meaningful use requirements are still met.
So is this something that potentially would replace the use of a scribe?
It certainly could. That's one way that many physicians have chosen to go about with the adoption and the direct data entry of certain data points. But yeah, I think this could be a very valid and appropriate alternative to a scribe solution.
I've written before about practices that are considering adopting EHR, and the fact that this is not the same as buying some diagnostic piece of equipment where you buy it and you figure out how to use it and then you just sort of shoehorn it into your workflow processes. This is really a technology implementation that most medical practices don't really have any experience doing. So what they often will do is go and buy an EMR system that they fall in love with, basically, and then they try to implement it, and then they're having to adopt the way that the system works to the way that they're practicing instead of vice versa. Does that make sense? Would you agree with that?
I would, absolutely. And I think that's exactly where we've seen, and a lot of the groups that we're talking to, again, particularly specialty groups, have seen us as an onboarding strategy prior to an EMR implementation or a rollout. Because the Entrada solution allows the physicians to continue dictating from a work list that we actually replicate the physician's schedule from the practice management system. It's a bit of a workflow change, but very subtle. They're still dictating into a smartphone, for example, on their iPhone. Certainly the iPhone and the iPad, we also function on the iPad, have been very successful, very rapidly adopted by physicians. So they're comfortable with that platform. They start dictating into our system. We can create a repository of information, and then once the EHR is in place, we just then begin essentially injecting that information directly into the EHR. So it keeps the workflow change to a minimum, which tends to be one of the big issues with EHR adoption.
Now, for practices that have existing EMR system already in place, do you have to create some sort of a custom interface with the existing EMR system, or how does that work without giving away any proprietary information?
Right. From our perspective, it's fairly straightforward. It's primarily executed through HL7 interfaces. We just simply, on the front end, when in creating our work list, we just pull ADT information via HL7 directly from the schedule, or we can do that just through an automated report generation process. And on the return, there's actually a couple ways that we can go about it. We can return a document directly into the encounter. Most systems have some kind of a document pickup process or RTF monitor, so to speak, like a lab or an X-ray that's coming inbound into that system. Another way, which we can actually break up, it's what we call template-driven dictation, by which we can actually break up the dictation that's produced on the front end into discrete sections such as HPI, chief complaint, physical exam, and plan, and actually deposit those sections directly into the appropriate field within the EHR. That's really where most groups want to go with us as an alternative to point and click and drop-down menus.
Have you come across any software systems that would not work well with this approach?
It's safe to say there are certain vendors out there that are going to have more of a closed approach to how they capture information. Not to name any names, but there has been some variance, so to speak, in terms of different EHR systems that have embraced us that have more of an open strategy to providing one-off solutions such as ours as a data entry alternative. Not everybody's going to work as well with us as some of the other systems that are out there today. But so far, we've been very successful in working with some of the more popular and widely implemented systems that are on the market today.
Typically, how long is the training process for this system?
Probably one of the biggest benefits of the system is the ease of use and how quickly a physician can get up to speed and use the system. It's really within a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, assuming we're delivering the work list appropriately and they're recognizing patients. They're literally just selecting the patient, clicking the record button, and dictating as normal, actually dictating less because they don't have to speak demographics the way they normally would. So very quick learning curve as well as implementation.
Well, great. Pat, really appreciate your time. If a practice wanted to get more information on this, who would they contact?
You certainly could contact myself. My direct phone number is area code 615-482-5452, and my email address is pwilliams@entradahealth.com. Our website is also a great source of information, which is just www.entradahealth.com.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.